SMTN.
How's it going, everybody, and welcome to Shin Megami Tensei Network, link 316. I am your host, Spencer Presley, and joining me for this very special Five Nights at Freddy's spoiler cast is our special guest, Leeanna Albanese. How are you doing today?
I am good. So glad we're gonna dish all of the good Freddy's information.
I
Because that's why I'm here.
I couldn't believe that the movie started and ended with a 30-minute commercial for Hot Topic. I thought that was a brave directorial move.
It was, and it was artistic, and I think we haven't seen that in cinema in a really long time. Like, I'm thinking like 70s, I'm thinking like real old Scorsese stuff. And I think it's a return to form for the medium, and I'm really glad that it's happening now.
You say Scorsese, but I will say I forget the name of his daughter who's been putting him on her TikToks and stuff.
Yeah.
I would pay so much money for her to be like, all right, Dad, I dragged you to go see Five Nights at Freddy's. Let me know what you let the internet know what you think of this cinematic masterpiece.
That should absolutely happen. I saw it last night. I watched it in a theater full of middle schoolers, and it was the right audience to see it with. It was a very fun experience to be surrounded by children who were so excited, out of their minds.
Well,
elated.
that's a good way to experience it, especially something like a horror movie. I remember the first movie I ever had to not ever had to, but when one of my first movies I ever reviewed, and I went to a screener for it. It was all journalists, and it was Paranormal Activity, I think 4, and I remember it was I was still a fan of the series at that time, and I was just kind of like, oh, I'm excited, but because it was all just a bunch of people going to review it, there was no reactions from anybody.
Right,
and I was
everybody taking notes.
Yeah, it sucked all the fun out of it, and I was like, I feel like I had a lesser experience just because of how I saw it at that screener. So no, 12-year-olds is the way to go with Five Nights at Freddy's for sure.
They were so hyped. Yeah, it was very fun.
I still like to think back about it's only probably tied with that weird Minecraft movie that's never going to come out of do you know how long they'd been trying to make this? Do you remember back who the first director of this was supposed to be?
Oh no, I would not know off the top of my head, but I feel like it's been talked about forever.
It was Christopher Columbus, the dude who did Harry
my
Potter.
Gosh.
It was that long ago, and I'm like,
wow.
I'm sure in another Bizarro universe, that version of the movie is absolutely wild and has probably nothing to do with the one we got.
I hope Josh Hutcherson would have been in both, though.
Oh, no,
I was
100%.
I'm here for the Renaissance. I think he's a delightful young man, and I think he's got a great future in this industry.
But yes, now for all the people who thought we were actually joking at first, then might be worried that we were being very serious. Now, we're not only here to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's, but yeah, Lee, thank you so much for coming on. For all the people out there who may not know who you are, who the heck are you, and how are you doing today?
I am great. Thank you for asking. And I play Erina in Persona 5 Tactica, out November 17th. Play it. I'm in it. How was that? Was that
Man, you know what? There's not many back-of-the-box quotes, but I think we can fit that in there real quick.
I sure hope so. That would be nice. I'm on the front of the box, and it would be nice to be on the back of the box, too.
I mean, honestly, you're very prominent in both the Japanese and the English marketing for it.
That was surprising to me. I didn't expect that. When I first went in, I thought I was just doing background characters and incidentals and a little guy here and there. And it wasn't until the end of the session that I found out, that I don't know. None of this is spoilery, but that I found out that I was a significant character in the game, and then it just kept going, and I was like, it's still going. There's more, which is delightful as an actor and as a professional and as a fan to experience, but was very jarring inside of my own brain.
So, for anyone out there, like I pretty much got exposed to like who you are as like an actor, like running into you when the game got announced,
Mhm.
seeing it kind of get announced on Twitter and stuff like that, and then checking you out at the Anime Expo panel, which originally I was going to be like, oh hey, it stinks people can't go back and watch that because remember there was like a weird VOD issue of
Uh-huh. Yeah.
all of the music was ripped because there was Studio Ghibli movie in this like 20-hour stream
Yeah.
with it. No, it is still on the Atlas like YouTube channel, so people can still go back and
Oh,
check out
cool.
both of the AX
Great.
panels. But no, one of the nice things about kind of like learning that with it was like because it was what it was you, Matt,
Yeah,
Xanthi,
Xanthi and,
and
and Jeremy.
yeah, I always forget her name with it, but yeah, like so
Yeah.
it was so cool, like kind of having like a nice like hodgepodge of like new and old with it. But the funny thing is like ironically, so like I was there hilariously early, had to very gladly skip the entire line and just wait in there because I was like, well, if there's one thing I'm going to use this dumb industry badge for, it's going to be make sure this is the
Y-
one panel I go
As
to
you
and don't
should.
miss.
As you should. It is your right. You earned it.
Well, what was funny was honestly the biggest thing with it was I wanted a good seat and I wanted to record it until I saw that it was actually going to be streamed because a lot of
Hmm.
people who couldn't go to LA really wanted to
Right.
check this out. And the other thing also was I did need to steal a horrendous amount of those posters.
Yeah.
But
Understand.
like for anyone like who was kind of like I'm not sure how much like feedback you guys got from like the room or whatever, but everyone really liked the panel. But it was like I guess this is a good sign of a panel where the biggest complaint was everyone in that room wanted it to go on way longer. They were like, "Could we please just have more of this?"
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous. There are no words to describe how cool it was for me. But everybody was so. I mean, it was such a lovely audience, and like I've been in front of bad audiences before. I've done plenty of theater, and that was a
No
good
tomatoes. I
audience
hope.
for
I hope
sure.
no tomatoes.
Not yet, though. I feel like that should be on the bucket list. Not that I want to do a bad job, but I feel like that's really earning your
You're
stripe.
if you haven't gotten invited to any conventions, what we need to do is just the real hardcore fans of yours will go to your first anime
Yeah,
convention, and instead of asking
bring
you to sign a
tomatoes.
Funko Pop, they'll be like, "Here's some tomatoes. Please don't mind what's about to happen."
Yeah, well, I guess I'm inviting that now. Somebody's gonna listen and somebody's gonna do it.
Listen, it's
Um,
either pay $50 for a signature or pay $100 and I'll gladly take a
I would,
tomato.
I mean, like for charity, throw tomatoes at me 100%. I'm down. I hope maybe I could get a friend even.
I feel like you know
Um,
what, man. Like that's a really good idea for like those like stream companies who basically just do those like autograph streams of just like
mhm.
if you just like guys, we're gonna crank up the prices by like 4 times, but it's just you have to get like clown objects thrown at you for an hour. I feel like more people than you would think would be into that idea.
Yeah, yeah. It's like getting dunked in a water tank
I
or
was
getting a
I was
fire
literally
pit
just gonna
or
say like
whatever.
imagine like the stream is every dollar donation gets you one very small child throwing a ball at a tank, and he's not a sickly child, but he's definitely not gonna make most of those throws, so you don't have to worry about it
Yeah,
every
there's a
time.
healthy there's a healthy balance there. Yeah. But sorry, going back, I'm flattered that the audience wanted more. And yeah, the panel was so cool. And everybody in the room was great. There was an Erina cosplayer there, which is insane. I don't know how they did that so fast, but it's the coolest thing that I've ever seen in my life. So,
That's got to be extra surreal because like by the time that panel happened, the game
mhm.
had barely even been officially real for like less than a month and a half.
Yeah, yeah, it was. I mean, the panel, yeah, it was on the 3rd, and I think the game leaked on. So it was July 3rd, and the game leaked, I think, on June 8th.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you put a costume together like that. Um, but it's cool that they did, and it was awesome, and I was so flattered and so excited by it.
Now, what we need to get you is like a life one-to-one replica of Erina's flag. I feel like that has to be
I,
something you own
that'd be
eventually
so
in life.
cool. I would love it. I went to the Requiem Cafe Persona Royal activation that they
Oh
did,
yeah, because
and they had
they have some standees there, right?
yeah, they had some standees, and they didn't have. It's not as big as their flag, but they had little flags, and I was like, how do I get my hands on one of those. Where do I get one? I'll commission by Atlas. Who do I have to contact to get
You just
something
got
like that?
you have to hold on strong because like in a month you're gonna get that little like thanks for being in the game gift box that they always
It,
do, and you're either gonna get like I'm trying to think of something that'd be like on brand for like the theme, but that's the weird thing of this game of like I'm gonna assume they'll give you like a Persona 5 Tactica chessboard they'll be like here you go that you get to be like the rook piece or something and there you
yeah.
go.
Yeah, yeah, she would be. So that's a fitting. You actually chose probably the right chess piece. So good job.
But
With the little information that the public has about the game.
oh, but like, and like, it's the funny thing that you bring up the activation with the cafe because I had forgotten that one was happening and was telling some friends to go to that, and then like literally the next day I got the little press release about oh god, I always forget what it's called. It's a Gyukaku, right?
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. It's so
Oh
cool.
man, I'm gonna be two problems with that promotion that they're doing. A, that's a place I really like to actually go. Me and my
Hmm.
wife will destroy when we go there. Unfortunately, none of them are near Kansas, so we are going to. I think the closest one to us is in like Illinois, so I'm probably gonna
Yeah,
drive like
that
a state and a
checks.
half away just for these
Wow.
silly. Well, because like a,
No,
it's
that's
an
hardcore. I
experience.
admire it.
I want to try those themed drinks, no matter how good and or
Me
bad they might be,
too.
and I have a desperate need for all of those keychains.
I know. And there's one of my character this time, so I'm like, I have to. I have to go and I have to get it.
Oh
Because
yeah,
I mean, like,
because that's the weird thing is like with and you're gonna discover this like
mm,
once the game comes out, is that all of these spin-off games, it's a double-edged sword of when you're one of the main new characters in the
yeah.
spin-off game. One, there will almost be no merchandise of you
Hmm.
because it's one of those weird things of like, well,
Bad.
you already
Yeah.
have like nine other characters to make merchandise off of. It's very rare that the spin-off characters get their own merch. But then the other one is then you'll have the good side of the sword is you'll have a legion of fans who will forever be upset that your character has not been invited to all future games. They're gonna be like,
Yeah.
where, where's Erin? I can't believe she's not in
I
Persona
know.
6 dancing. What's
I
happening?
know. Well, oh well. It's fine. I can dance by myself and then we can pretend. I can do a little VTube
Oh my
dance
gosh.
and we can pretend that that in the next dancing spinoff that I'm in it.
It's the
Um,
power. Yeah, it's the power of VTubers these days. You can make anyone into
right?
anything.
I could be whoever and then it would look just like the dance. I'd have to learn the dances, but I think it would look pretty close. Like I think that could happen.
Mm. So, have you had this issue happen yet of people thinking you're playing a character named Erina or Erina?
Yes, yes. I am in Tactica and my character's name is Erina. So, it's silly. It's goofy, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Speaking of the leak, another funny, like weird hardcore fan perspective that most people didn't really like. For a whole week, the internet was convinced that the trailer that leaked was the like Italian trailer, and the game's name was Tactical. It was like, no, it's
Yeah,
not Tactica. That'd be dumb. It's got to be Persona 5 Tactical or Tactics or something like. It's clearly it'd just be like,
Tactica.
no,
We
I'm
like
sorry.
we like the feminine form, and I guess we're keeping it European.
Yeah, it's very chic to be
Well, it is,
European.
and I will say, like we have those kind of French Revolution vibes going on.
Oh yeah,
So
like it's got the whole. I
European
think like even
flair,
on the
yeah.
cover, it's got the whole like sick. I forget what it has on it. It's like sick Magna
Oh,
something on it.
I should know. I should know. Something about peace. It says pass. I don't know how to speak Latin. My brothers do. Um, but yes, there is Latin on her little flag, and that's kind of her slogan. So we have there are Europe. There's a European flair here. So Tactica makes sense.
But I guess kind of to roll back time a little bit for it.
Yes.
When did you kind of get started with this project? Because I know that these are never like last minute things where like, oh, you got brought in March and the game announced in June.
Yeah. So for me, this process has been going on for about a year and a half. I auditioned in, I want to say June of 2022. And then I was cast in, I want to say late July, maybe early August.
Hmm.
Um, and so, because with a very, very good piece of advice when it comes to voiceover auditions is to send it out and then to forget it exists. Um,
As
and
to
I
as
had
to
an
not
inkling.
stay up awake all night wondering
Yes,
what
yeah.
did they
And
get it?
I had an inkling that it was for a Persona game with like the detective work I did with the copy that I had. And so naturally I was like, "Oh my God, that's amazing and crazy and I want to be part of that." And so it was hard to forget about it, but I did. I did forget about it, and when I got the email back, I was very surprised. And then I did a little recording in September, but then most of the recordings in earnest began in November and kind of went through the winter.
Mhm.
And then, a couple pickups here and there. Uh, so yeah, but I would say in earnest, it's been like a year and a half, a year.
And I always forget. I assume that this one was still also PCB, right?
Yeah, yeah, it was.
Perfect.
Directed by Valerie Aram, who is
Awesome.
lovely.
Yeah, and it's just been so funny because of like both Persona 3 and Tactica like being kind of
Hmm.
on top of each other. Like the big thing has always been like I feel like a lot more attention has definitely ironically been given to the remake versus like the new one that's coming out sooner. But it's been like as we've been
People are
getting
very excited.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like rightfully so because it's like hey, it's this like really like
Uh-huh.
popular game getting remade for it, but like as me being a very big tactics nerd and just a
Hmm.
fan of Persona, it's kind of been that like fun one of like hey yeah, like getting more attention and brought in. And that's one of the big reasons I was really glad to have you come on the show and stuff for it and bring a little bit more attention because it's like, yeah, it's like weird to think that this was something we didn't even know about 6 months ago, and in a month, less
Yeah.
than a month from now, we're all going to have our hands on it.
Yeah, it's a big surprise. And actually, Reload being announced and happening around the same time was really personally delightful for me because my friend Justice Slocum, who's a very, very talented actor, is playing Shinjiro in Reload. So I feel like we get to kind of come up together, and we went to school together, and I'm just so excited that we get to kind of really step out with both in a Persona franchise coming out at the same time, um, and that we kind of get to go on that journey together. So that has been like delightful for me to experience. But to the note of talking about Tactica, yes, I'm very excited, and seeing people excited about it is I mean, for lack of a better word, it's exciting. Anytime anybody tells me they're looking forward to it, it's like so much joy. I actually, because I'm a nerd, I went to GameStop to just check out that they had like the copies out
Hmm.
for pre-order. So not the actual game, but like the box.
That
And
is,
I
that
went and I
is
was
like
looking.
big nerd GameStop energy that I definitely am guilty of as a like grown man of like times of like, look,
Yeah,
honey, they have the printed box with
I
nothing in
want to
it.
see it. And so I was looking at it, and the employee was like, "Oh yeah, I'm pretty excited for that." And I was like, "Are you? Cool, that's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that."
Okay, now we gotta
Um,
see. Did the GameStop guy do his job? Did he a get you to pre-order a copy at GameStop or not?
yes, he did. I mean, I was going to pre-order it from GameStop anyway.
So,
Um, so that was already gonna happen. I had planned it because they're giving the coasters for the
that was
pre-orders.
what I had to because I'm always like such a like weirdo about like I love my dumb little like pre-order like bonus items. Like
Mhm.
when we found out there wasn't really any like hey big like collector's edition or anything with it. These coasters are the only thing we have going for us in terms of like hey man you got to make sure you get a GameStop because you're not gonna get anything else anywhere. And like I kid you not. I love that this has happened. Like I've had multiple people reach out because we have like international like listeners in other
Mhm.
countries, and since this is just a America thing, like they're not even doing this in Japan or like other countries.
Oh wow.
I've had
Mhm.
people like in like Europe and other countries like reach out, be like, "Hey, can you get me a copy of this game just for the coasters and just ship it to?" Because people are like that like hardcore about like
No,
getting any and
I
all
get
stuff
it.
for it.
I understand. Yeah, yeah. So that is why. And yes, the employee did their job. Um, uh, so, and I hope I better be getting my coasters. That's all I have to say on the matter. I think it's one Joker and one Morgana one, so I am looking forward to it.
Oh my god! But could you imagine it? Could you imagine if Erina was like a secret third coaster? Be like, listen,
It would be
this has
nice.
gone from a want to a strong need now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's like I knew I was gonna go to the Royal like cafe event at Requiem.
Hmm.
Um, because I'm a fan and I was gonna like of course I'm gonna go. They had a Homestuck one. I told you a little bit earlier that I was really into that. I went to the Homestuck Cafe like 3 times. It's an hour away from me and I was like, I'm going.
Dedication.
Um and so I was already gonna go to the Persona one and then I saw that they had a drink. And I was like, okay, there's a drink out for my character. Like I went opening day because I was like, there's no way I'm missing out on this. What else am I supposed to do?
So where's the TikTok or where's the video review of you trying your own drink and reviewing it?
Haha, I am not a content oriented person.
You're not waking up every day wondering how can I monetize my last breaths on this earth.
It would be honestly, it would be smart for me to do. I'm just not naturally that way. But the drink was really good. It was like a cherry dragon fruit kind of soda type
Ooh.
of a deal, which I love fruity flavors. I specifically love cherry and I love dragon
I
fruit.
know,
So
you had me at dragon fruit. Not that I'm
yeah,
gonna fly halfway across the country to try this, but I'm now extra more jealous.
it was good. It was a very good drink and I liked it. I got it. I went to the cafe like 3 times for this too. And I did get it every time, which it's not like I have an option, but I would have gotten it anyway because it tasted really good.
Well, I mean, now what'll be funny is because of the barbecue like promotion, there's another
I
drink that
know.
literally has your flag in it. So now we'll have to like kind of like
I gotta
compare
try
the other
that
one
one
because yeah,
too.
here I have the picture pulled up. It's the they all three of them have the flag. This I will
Oh, okay.
I can already
Oh
tell I'm
no.
gonna have an embarrassing amount of I'm gonna be that guy who comes up and be like, hey, can you just give me like 5 of these unused flags just to keep like so. Do you remember the ice cream booth with the Tactica promotion over at Anime
Yes.
Expo?
Yeah, that was so cool.
I probably embarrassed my wife so much. When we went to go order, I'd never actually had like that kind of shaved ice before,
Hmm.
and I was like, "Oh, it was really, really good." But like when I ordered, I like leaned over to the person and was like, "I'm really sorry to be that guy. Can I have just an empty ice cream cup in both sizes? Just because they're like the cups are cool, but like I'll never be able to keep them after ice cream's in them. Like they'll
Right.
just immediately be
They've been
trash."
ice creamed.
So I just have
Yeah.
next to me on my little Atlas shelf, I just have an unused large and medium sized Persona 5
Love
Tactica
it.
cup.
No, that's good. Yeah.
But yeah, like the what is it? We have the Phantom Judge, the Flag of Freedom, and the Brigantine Blitzkrieg. All of these just sound like drinks you'd get really, really shit faced with. So I wonder how much
Yes, they
alcohol is
do.
in all of these.
I was looking. I think they might all be mocktails,
I
but that does not mean that you can't sneak in a flask or some.
Hey, I'd like a Flag of Freedom with an entire liter of Jaeger on the side. Don't worry, they won't be
Yeah.
mixing. I promise.
Yeah, just give me a couple of bottles of soju. And I'll mix my drinks myself. Thank you.
Oh, those would they? I'm sure those actually would pair fantastically with that. But no, that is like one of those like funny things of when as compared to the ice cream one, I do remember like showing my wife the like promotion of like how long of a car ride it'd be to go to this thing, and she was like, "Listen, if you're gonna pay for me to have like Japanese barbecue, I'm not gonna complain about this car trip. You can go for as many keychains as you need."
Hmm.
But no, it is like though really like funny of those weird little things happening because it is like that funny thing of like similar with the cosplayer of even for like the most minute little things that either like happen around or whatever in this fan base, people at least from like my experience with it from like covering this for so many years, it's just so funny of like every time you kind of think how much passion this community might have for like different aspects, there's always going to be either someone new or like something you didn't ever expect that's going to be like, wow, like it's really kind of like very like humble or like crazy in like a way of just being like, wow, it is like so cool to like see how much
Yeah.
all of this means to all these like people and stuff with it. And
Yes.
it's got to be extra more kind of surreal than being like, hey, I'm part of this now, this is weird.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, like it's terrible because I'm like, there's not a way to describe it, but it is so warming. It is unbelievable. It makes me incredibly grateful. To be a part of something that has such fans that are so excited and so kind and so invested and involved. Because there are established series that don't have that kind of a fan base. And that is not the case here, like as you said, people are so invested. Um, and coming from the fan perspective myself, like, and I don't know I mean, like I was pretty invested, but I wasn't like I didn't have like a blog about it. Um, but it's very gratifying to see both sides of that, if that makes any sense.
No, 100%. And like and I think you also brought this up at one point in the panel with it, but like, is it kind of weird, not only of kind of then joining this universe, but then the other part of it being like, hey, yeah, I am now by facto like a Phantom Thief. Like when people will be
Yeah,
like have the
yeah,
lineup of all the different Phantom Thieves from over the years, like your character's going to be there. Is that like make it like extra kind of weird?
yeah. It is bizarre and amazing and super duper duper cool. Um, and I I am just astounded. It's something that like it has been real to me for a little while, but if I think about it too hard, I go, what is my life? What is happening to me? How like the even with like the because we did these like little promo videos with like the Morgana's tactical training.
Oh yeah, oh
Um,
please, Sergeant Morgana. They didn't go.
yeah, Sergeant,
They didn't spend
Sergeant,
all
my
those years
Sergeant.
in the military just to be disregarded
No,
like that.
no,
Please.
no. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Sergeant Morgana. You are the only cat I would follow into battle. I love you so much. Um, sir, yes, sir. Uh, I kind of forget. Oh yeah, but like when those came out, I was just like, how is this real? How is that me? How is this my life? Um, so the idea of being part of this legacy is it's so exciting and gratifying, especially when like it's really good too. Like I know I'm stepping into a universe with great characters, with excellent storytelling, with amazing performances, and the fact that I get to be a part of that, it is the coolest thing in the world.
I mean, if you had someone come up to me and say, "Hey, would you like to be a piece of trash number five with anyone else?" And
Yeah,
like, you've got it, sign me up. But
yeah,
can I pay
yeah.
you to be? Can I pay you to be trash number five? That's my question.
Yes, absolutely. And that's how I felt. I mean, that's how I felt about it. Like, had you told me again, like I've been working on this for a year and a half, had you told me a year and 7 months ago that this was going to be my life, I wouldn't have believed you. It would be something that I could have only dreamt about. Like, it would not be something that I could have envisioned for myself being being within the realm of the Phantom Thieves and being in a Persona game period. Um, so it is incredibly gratifying.
And I guess kind of another interesting aspect that we haven't really gotten into with it was before getting like cast. What was your history, if any, of either Persona or just Atlas stuff in general?
Yeah. So I watched again. I'm outing myself as a giant nerd. I watched a lot of Let's Plays when I was. I mean, I guess we started off by talking about Five Nights at Freddy's.
No, I mean,
Really, I'm
if I
not
was
outing
being
myself now.
honest and mean, I could just throw Homestuck back at your face. But yeah, I guess that's
That's
really the
true.
meanest one we
That's true.
brought up.
I'm like saying this as if anything that is about to leave my mouth is surprising. I watched a lot of Let's Plays. And so people were playing, Persona 3 and 4. I feel like were pretty common Let's Plays. So I ate those up when I was in middle school. And like Catherine, I feel like that was pretty big in the community too. And I loved watching playthroughs of that. And I had not played any of them myself. And then I guess I had like a little Atlas break because I didn't play Persona 5 when it came out. I didn't play it until 2019. And so it just kind of, for whatever reason, despite the fact that I was kind of into it, it just escaped my note. I don't know. My favorite game of all time is Bioshock, and I feel like I just kept playing Bioshock
Ooh.
like endlessly. I love Bioshock. And I feel like it was just like that, and like Dragon Age Inquisition. Those were my like obsessions. And then so then 2019, I decided to pick it up because I took a class with PCB, and I was like, oh man, I had meant to play Persona 5. When it came out in 2017, right?
Hmm.
I'd meant to play it back then. I was, in college, and it's hard to play games when you're in college, and it slipped to the wayside. And I said, now is a good time. And I sat down and I, played it the entire thing all the way through, basically every single day, sitting down and playing as much of it as I could. And I ate it up, and I thought it was amazing. And I was you know, because I'm an acting nerd too, I was like, the performances are so good, they're so grounded, but they're heightened, and it still fits the style of the game. I was just like, I was nerding out. I was salivating over it. And I thought it was really, really cool. And it very quickly became one of my favorite games of all time. And right about when I finished it was when Royal came out. And I said, oh, man. And I put Royal on the back burner for a little bit. I played Strikers when it came out, loved that. And then it was later that I got the audition, which I did not know was for. I mean, I kind of sussed out that it was Persona, but I couldn't figure anything else about it. I didn't know if it was a new game or a DLC or something just generally.
I was
going
gonna
to
say, I doubt there were gonna be lines in the test script that are just being like, "Come on, Joker, go to square
Yes,
A5."
exactly. Like they're, especially for games, you don't get a lot of information. Sometimes you don't even get a lot of information in the booth, right? So for the audition, I didn't know very much.
I hate how ruined my mind is by stupid video trends. My thought was like, how would this the only way in my mind I could think the script would just tell you it's a tactical game. It's just swap out Ron, Harry, and Hermione
Right?
from that script. I'm just being like, the Queen's going to take you, Joker. It's like, no, Morgana, no, it has to be you.
Exactly.
Oh my god. But no, I completely it, and I do have to say very big bonus points for having played Strikers, so thank you for being
Yeah.
being
Oh,
one of the
loved
real ones.
Strikers.
You
Yeah,
so then you extra understand what I mean then, so now every game Zenkichi is
I
not
know.
in.
I thought I had seen people being like, "Where's Zenkichi? Where's Sophie?" And I'm like, honestly, I mean, I'm not going to say anything about the game. I'm not going to say what's in the game and what's not in the game.
No, but it was
me
that
as a person is also asking those questions.
It was
if I was removed from the game, I would be saying, "Where is Zenkichi?"
It was that was the funniest thing too, because when we had the DLC kind of pre-announced and people saw that they were bringing back Kasumi and stuff, and people,
Yeah.
I loved people's immediate answer to be like, "Oh my gosh, does that mean Sophie and Zenkichi are gonna be here?" And then us all slowly realized the answer's probably no, but at least it was enough that people have gone out there and drawn both of them in this art style and stuff like that.
Cute. Ugh, and they look great. They look so good.
But also, yes, you get about 1,000,000 also brownie points for also enjoying Bioshock, which I feel like it's one of it's one of those things of I always I think of oh yeah, everyone's played Bioshock, and then I think about how old it is, and I'm like, oh my god, this game's almost it's 4 years away from being 20 years old.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's wild. But that game opened up the world of games to me, and I'd played, I was a Nintendo kid, and I loved Golden Sun was one of my favorite games. I played it all the time on my Game Boy Advance, and I was very into Pokemon, and of course, Mario and stuff. But I did not play shooters until I played Bioshock when I was, I want to say 13. I want to say it was 2012ish, maybe. It was because the hype about Infinite was coming out that I played it. And just everything about it spoke to me. The design, I love Art Deco, I love water. Again, I love the acting in that game. I think the acting in that game is so fun. And just the world of it, everything spoke to me in my little teenage head. And yeah, it has throughout my life continued to just kind of be that thing that I go back to. I make all of my friends play it with me. It's kind of a rite of passage at this point. That at some point I will sit you down for 2 days straight, and we're going to play through all of Bioshock together. And then I'm going to ask you how you feel.
There may or may not be an essay at the end of this question.
There are probably multiple, to be honest. Let's talk about objectivism, kid.
Have you ever seen either the memes? Have you been into a Barnes and Noble where it has the very out of pocket store recommendations or descriptions of books from the employees?
Yeah.
I was at one and I super regret not taking a picture, but I lost my mind. I was walking past the Ayn Rand section and it says, "If you for lovers of BioShock, check out this." And I was like, I would love to imagine someone out there's yeah, man, I just couldn't get into Ayn Rand, but man, Bioshock turned me around. I'm into it now.
Yeah. You know what? I did not. I was not a fan of Atlas Shrugged, but then I played Bioshock, and I'm really, and now I'm going on to the Fountainhead, and I'm really excited about that one.
It's
It really spoke to me.
it's like I would love like imagining like someone learning all the wrong lessons playing Bioshock. Just be like, man, because that was almost the thing with like Bioshock Infinite. Just be like, guys, this
Yeah.
idea is great, but you just got to do it in the air. The water was the problem. Everything else about this society was perfect.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I love that game. I have like I'm in my room right now. I have let's see, I have one, two, three, four, five Bioshock posters up. And that does not include my other Bioshock merch. Now Persona is kind of is getting up there too. I have I think three posters up right now. But yeah. It'll have to give Bioshock a run for its money as a
What you're
series.
saying is that everyone who listens to this episode just needs to tweet at Ken Levine and get you in to be a character in Judas really bad is what we need to do.
I would die. I would do anything. And I will say, complicated man with a complicated legacy, but I would do anything to work with him. I just want to see. I just want to see. I want to experience it for myself.
Well, it's extra funny too because I have a buddy of mine who's been working on that game since it started, and I remember when it got
Wow.
announced. Because he was one of the few people who stayed on from the Bioshock Infinite team,
Yeah.
and it was funny
Cool.
of like because the way they pitched it at first was like, yeah, so the idea is going to be keep all of our narrative stuff and make it a lot more light on the gameplay. So it's going to be like because the big comparison they always would say about it is it's like narrative Legos. It's going to be really
Right.
flexible,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
we're going to do stuff like that. And then I remember giving him crap after like 9 years, being like, how those
Yeah.
how are those Lego pieces coming along? I was like, well, sometimes Lego pieces turn into Lincoln Logs, and you got to mix them into Duplo, and like it's a process for it. But like I physically couldn't be more excited about that just because of
Yes. Agreed.
how long we've been without those kind of games. Because even in like eras where it's like, oh hey, these games are kind of Bioshock light, nothing's really scratched that
No, and
itch.
it's I do I believe in auteurs? But like you can tell when there's a little bit of Ken Levine sparkle in it. I'm just saying.
Oh
Like
no, yeah, like
you
Ken
can
Levine,
taste it.
Ken Levine's up there with like there's a couple, especially for like game directors
Mhm.
specifically. It's like when a game is not done by like Hideo Kojima, whether you love him or hate
Yeah.
him. If Death Stranding 2 was done
His
by like
fingerprints are on it.
anyone
Yeah.
else, yeah, it'd be like you would immediately know by the lack of Monster Energy sponsorship. You'd be like, oh, he didn't touch this one, did he?
Right. And there's for whatever reason there's Ken Levine and I share a brainworm. Okay, I mean, I've been saying brainworms a lot. I've also been like very obsessed with Baldur's Gate 3 recently, and there are brainworms in that game. But um, I, I also I feel that way about like Christopher Nolan. I love Christopher Nolan films. It's just a thing about me. I was obsessed with Oppenheimer when it came out. Um, and so yeah, I'm very excited to see what happens with Judas. And no, like one time he responded to me on Twitter, I lost my mind. I thought it was the coolest.
I hope it's still the same. I love his stupid Twitter picture of just him with like the '80s
Yeah.
boy band like magazine
Uh-huh.
hair look with
Yeah,
it.
it's still out, I think.
My only worry now is that like now that you've outed yourself as such a real Ken head over here, you're gonna run
Mm.
into him one day in like Starbucks and just your body's gonna shut down and not know how to
It
function.
will. I'm terrible around celebrities and like people I admire. It was really for the panel because I admire the Persona 5 cast so much, right? I felt like such a fish out of water. I was stumbling over my words. I probably looked like a scared little deer calf. What is a baby deer called? I looked like doe. No, doe is female deer.
I was gonna be like Bambi. That's just the name for all baby deer. It's just they're all
I was
Bambi.
like Bambi. I was like Bambi in that room, because I admire that cast so much.
See the
And
pro.
I act so goofy, so silly goofy when I'm around people I admire.
The problem for like weird cases of that, like especially the bigger one would be like the funny thing when I tell people like, oh yeah, like I know Matthew Mercer because like we've had him on the show
Hmm.
well before like Critical Role, well before like a lot of these
Very
other things
cool.
that blew him up with it. And I
Yeah.
remember like Matthew Mercer, the first time I met him was just some dude who we were talking about poop jokes in a convention interview
Yeah.
one day, and
Yeah.
then just it's so funny to like see how much his entire life is ballooned while he is still just himself. Like the fact that like
Hmm.
he
Hmm.
announced he was going to be Vincent Valentine in the new Final Fantasy game
Yes. So cool.
as part of a panel that he was hosting. I would have believed him hosting it just because of how much I know he loves that game. So it is just so
Hmm.
funny because like there are definitely like those people who you kind of get to that point of like, hey, I'm so famous, I really don't need to kind of do this level of work anymore, and I could make a living doing
Absolutely.
that. But it's like you can really tell like he's one of those people that it's like, no, he just loves doing all of this. That there's no point in him not doing any of it.
Yeah, yeah, and that is I think something in particular that I admire about him. And I kind of talked about this on the panel, but I don't and I didn't want to really talk about it there. But I interned when I was an intern at Legendary Digital Networks. They owned Geek and Sundry and Nerdist, and at the time Critical Role was working with Geek and Sundry. So I was a production intern on Critical Role, and I got to see them kind of do their work. This was in 2018. Um, and that is part of the reason why I decided that I wanted to do voiceover because I saw all of these incredibly kind, diligent, passionate voice actors um, doing their thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the community that I want to be a part of. Um, so that was another reason I was particularly nervous around Matt is because I was like, oh man, I set up your DM chair. Like I have a picture of me in it with my hand over my head, pretending to be him so we could get the lighting right.
Oh my god, do you still have that picture?
Oh yeah, I still have it. I don't know where it is, but it's on my phone, and I have it, and I've treasured it. Um, and but yeah, and it's also like the thing of I know people say never meet your heroes, but like good people on that show and in that environment, and like I mostly worked with like the behind the scenes people there and the producers and sound and camera guys, but everybody that worked on that show was so nice, and that's the reason I'm still in like LA doing entertainment things is because everybody in that environment was so nice, and that extends to the larger Geek and Sundry and Nerdist too. I worked on Game Engine with Erika Ishii,
Oh, nice.
and yeah, so that show was like the highlight of my day. I loved working on it. Trisha Hirschberger also on that show, and those two were so kind and so open and funny that I was like, what are people talking about? Entertainment's fake and like this is a hard industry. Everybody here is so nice and so open.
It was
So
really
I really do owe everything to that specific job.
It's really funny you brought that up because what was it, like a month ago or something? Trisha was on the Easy Allies podcast, and I hadn't heard that name in so long because I'd kind of
Hmm.
like gone in like different like circles with her stuff, and like it just brought back like a total nostalgia bomb of all those old like shows and
Oh,
stuff back. And I was like, oh man,
yeah.
yeah, and it was just so funny because then like looking up all the stuff that they all been doing and stuff with it, that would be like I definitely get the whole of like that's why you're like down there with it because it's like you get that tight group of people you're with and like that's why like not in like a clicky way but it's almost like it's hard to kind of not make friends when you're all sort of around that same sort of work environment and area and are
Yeah.
all so passionate in these similar areas. It's hard not to.
Hmm. Hmm. And yeah, and I really do think that the passion and the kindness is just like it seeped through. Um, so yeah, very, very, very cool. That was honestly that summer, like working there, is still probably the highlight of my life. Okay, Tactica might beat that, but they're pretty close. Like that was, it was amazing. I had so much
Now
fun.
what we need to do, and I feel like I can gaslight enough of our audience to do this. We need to have someone draw in like the Critical Role art style, Erina sitting in Matt's chair. Like
Yeah,
we need Erina sitting in Matt's chair as just like they're like sitting there looking very disapprovingly, just onwards of these
very
actions.
funny. Very, very funny. Yeah, no, little intern Lee was ecstatic.
Oh yeah, like can you imagine like
I'll
if
find
you
that
from
photo.
5 years ago saw you now, like would it just be
I
like
could not believe it. And the crazy thing is, it was literally 5 years ago, right? And the trailer leaked like on that day, and I was just like, how? There's no way that me from 5 years ago could have believed any of this happened. And honestly, one of my goals, like my long-term goals, when I decided that I wanted to do like voice acting as my avenue for acting, and I really wanted to pursue that, as I was like, man, I'd really like to be in games with some people from Legendary. That was just like the one of the big end goals. And the fact that I got that in 5 years uh, is a treat to beat all treats. It's the cake and the cherry on top and whipped cream and sprinkles and all of it.
so were you always kind of looking around like California or LA or where were you from originally?
I'm from Massachusetts,
Oh
so
man,
I
real far.
grew up there.
No
Yeah,
wonder you're a big Ken Levine fan. You got the Massachusetts
I
things
know
over.
it's there. It's there.
Sorry, you won't.
In
Yeah, you won't
Boston.
run into him at a
Uh,
Starbucks. You'll be getting clam chowder somewhere, and then you'll just be behind
yeah,
you asking for like the salt and pepper.
yeah, Dunkin' or something. But yeah. So I grew up in Massachusetts. I did my whole life, and then I came out to LA for school. I went to USC, fight on. And I knew that I wanted to study theater, so I went to theater school. I double majored in journalism, and my kind of professional, like what I wanted to do with my life was I was trying to figure out how I wanted to be an actor and in what form. And I love theater very, very much, but it is a tough world. Any kind of, I mean, life is tough in general, but entertainment, it is a soul crushing business, I think. And you hear the thing of like you get so many rejections, and it's all about appearances, and that is definitely true in theater, though not maybe to the extent for on camera stuff. And I was really trying to figure it out. Um, and voiceover was like this golden, oh my gosh, it has so much less of all of the things that are terrible. But yeah, I knew I wanted to be an actor, so that's how I came to LA. And I stayed here, and I wouldn't have stayed here if not for that internship. Like I was trying to get back to the East Coast so bad, and that was the first time I was like, I could live in LA. I think I could be here for a while.
Well, that's awesome. Like another big one though is like when it is that area of like, hey, I just like acting in general.
Mhm.
I know it's always like kind of like a harder one with it. Do you have like at where you're at now? Do you either have a preference in terms of, hey, I've been really enjoying doing this more than another? Has there been one you've been kind of itching to want to go back to and
Well,
like dip your
yeah.
feedback into? What about?
I mean, I want to make as many games as possible. I love games. So the more I can do in the world of games, the happier I am. I haven't done any like mocap stuff. I've taken classes, but I haven't like done it professionally. Would love to do that. That sounds so fun and so exciting. And that is, I think, to an extent closer to stage work, which I love the physicality of the stage. Now the idea is kind of daunting and scary at this point, but I have always been somebody who like I like a lot of things, and I don't like saying no. So any way I can fit them all in, and Tetris my way into into doing, I will. And like that's why like the internship was a production internship. I still like production, and like I don't want to have any illusions. Like I have a day job. I'm a podcast producer actually,
Wait, I could be
and
getting paid for this?
yeah, I produce a sports podcast kind of, and I I love doing that. I love doing that. I love acting a little bit more, but I'm not. I would be sad if that wasn't part of my life. And I feel that same way about the different disciplines of acting. I would love to do on camera. I would love. I mean, and I've done some of it, and I've totally enjoyed it and loved it when I did that. Being on set is awesome. Like I said, more games. Cartoons are so cool. I want to do audiobooks. McLeod, who is Toshiro, does audiobooks, and I think that's the coolest thing in the world. He does, or I guess did because Cormac McCarthy died, but he did Cormac McCarthy's audiobooks, And I'm like stunned because that I cannot think of a cooler thing to do. Um, so yeah, that was not a great answer to your
No,
question, but
it
it was
really
an honest
no,
one.
it really is. It was very informative and also
Thank
made
you.
me
Thank you.
remember
Flatter
something
me more.
very very funny of like I grew up like I love to read. I have like hundreds of books, but like
Hmm.
as much as I love owning and I still always will like love just having like physical books still like in my library, audiobooks are such a special place in my heart because it is just
Yeah,
such a unique kind of medium. And I'll never forget
absolutely.
when we had a friend of the show on. Like we've had a lot of like voice actors um who will do like audiobook works, but one of them was like, "Oh, hey, like what books are you known for doing?" And he's like, "Oh, it's mostly all like literotica books." And I'd never thought of that as being a
Um,
market for it, but I was
yeah.
like,
Oh, it's huge.
can you
Yeah.
imagine just like the kind of fun you get to have during a normal recording versus like that. So like getting to learn about that world with me, like, oh yeah, like the conventions I get like invited to are like, oh yeah, it's just like audio erotica book conventions where people just want to listen to the people who voice audiobooks, and
Wow.
I'm like,
That is such a cool world
how
to exist.
yeah, it's like this
Wow.
one of those things like if you're not looking for that, like
Right,
that's
of
like a thing
course.
you'd never know about.
Yeah, it's that that is awesome. Very, very
But
fun.
yes, thank you, Sean Krisden, for opening my eyes to the overly horny world of audiobooks. Although, ironically, I think like the thing that like made him more well known now, outside of like voice acting, was he got a role. I forget who it is, but he's in that like bendy game. He's like someone in that
Oh,
like bendy horror
cool.
game, and it was
Yeah,
really funny.
yeah.
Of like I remember talking to him, he's like, yeah, like it was just like a regular role I did. But it's like you'll know with all those 12-year-olds of Five Nights at Freddy's, like it's like
Hmm.
that pig game, the math game with the ball. Like there are these weird children popular centric horror IP that is just you can't it'll just never not be popular. They're like kids
Yeah,
suck
yeah.
into it really like because it
Absolutely.
was funny. It was like trying to like explain to someone recently like yeah like jokes aside, Five Nights at Freddy's is still like it's a horror IP that is at the same time still a kids IP, which is a
Yeah.
very weird middle ground we've never had before.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that that world and that idea is so cool. And I mean, like, I don't know, when you're a kid, the world is just as scary as it is when you're an adult. And
100%.
I like horror. I mean, obviously, I like Bioshock, right? One of the things that I love about that game is that it's scary, at least if you're a wimp like me. And I think having a space for kids to engage with horror is awesome. You know, like I said, the world is scary. There's so much going on that is beyond our understanding, beyond our control, incomprehensible. And I mean, that's what's appealing to me about horror. So maybe I'm projecting here, but like, I think having that space for kids to explore that is awesome. And that's probably why they connect with it because that doesn't exist, I think, really outside of those kind of, like you said, niche titles.
Yeah, and it's one of those big ones of kids love them or hate them, they know when they're being dumbed down to. And
Absolutely.
it's like I always think of that like gif from SpongeBob of them going on the roller coaster that goes 1 foot off the ground and going down and them screaming. I'm like, that's literally what
Hmm.
most people used to think. Like that's all it would take to scare children. Like show them like a dark closet and a thing of lightning, and then they'll be like scared senseless. So it's like no like. Especially now in like the age that if you're a small child growing up, and I'm sure what I thought was scary growing up in the 90s is absolutely like
Hmm.
nothing versus like nowadays.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just I have, and now I feel like I'm kind of in between. I'm like old Gen Z, but you know, like I said, I watched Let's Plays, and I kind of grew up in the era of like horror Let's Plays and watching all of that, and I loved that stuff. And I think it is a pretty relatively caveat good thing that there is a space for kids to explore the scary side of things.
Now, that being said, I'd be remiss not to ask you this, but I have to ask because
Yeah.
this is such a loaded statement to put out there publicly. So you're very brave to have this so publicly known about you.
Yeah,
Why
sorry.
clowns? What if
I think clowns are
now
cool. Okay,
we
so
we
I
live in
no.
a weird world where you can't just say that because like when you say I think clowns are cool, people will be
This
like
is
I.
John Wayne Gacy's fault, okay? It is his fault. He put the bad name on clowns before that point in American history. Kids loved clowns, and I get it. It is not a good thing to be killing children as a clown. That is a bad thing, unequivocally.
Blowing it for the rest of them.
But I think clowns are cool. When I was a little kid, I like the first Halloween costume that I remember was a clown. I studied a little bit of clowning in high school. One of my favorite college professors is a clown. He's a medical clown. So cool. Zach Steele. Love him. Shout out Zach. And I there the ethos of clowning I think is very cool. I think the aesthetic is fun. And the idea of bringing joy and mirth and jest and laughter into the world is one that I really like. Also, it is funny to see people's reaction when you're like, I love clowns. But I admire a lot of it, and I'd like to study it further. But yeah, no, when I say that I like, I mean it. I really do like clowns. I think it's a very cool thing.
I just love the sentence of I love clowns because the world being the world that we live in,
Yeah,
it's such a loaded statement that it's like, okay, but in what way do you love clowns? Because
that's
there's
true.
so many.
That's
Like, listen,
true.
how much time did you spend on Tumblr? Are there clown Tumblrs you've been on? Like, what's been going on?
No, but they did. I mean, like, listen, I spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time on Tumblr. I'll be open about. I mean, again, you can tell from the way that I speak and what I'm talking about. This shouldn't be surprising to anybody. But like, listen, I'll take a hot clown. Absolutely. I'm not opposed to it. I won't say that doesn't exist. I believe in a hot clown. Now,
Have you
am I
seen the
obsessing
hottest
for hot
clown of
clowns?
2023?
In the One Piece show? Is this what we're
Oh,
talking about?
yes, it is. Buggy the
I
Clown.
have, yes. So I don't know a lot about One Piece. My brother's obsessed with it. He loves Tony Chopper, and I feel like I need to get on that. But
Literally.
it's very intimidating. It's very intimidating to look at all of the episodes.
It's
But yeah, and I will say he's hot.
I,
I
w-
mean,
I would say forget the manga, forget the anime. Don't let it intimidate you. Just watch the 8 episodes. There's a lot of clown in it, more than I was expecting.
so
And
I have gathered.
but
Yeah.
like, what's funny about it? Because I think it's Jeff Miller who like plays him or whatever. It's so funny. Of like, people went from before the show aired being like, I think he looks okay. He's kind of goofy though, so I'm not really sure. To then, as soon as it came out, it was just instant horny, like overnight. Like,
Well,
I'd
he's
never.
a beautiful man,
No,
so I get it.
he is, but like the way that he commits to that role and the clown, everything with it was so funny. Of like hearing the stories of like, oh yeah, like he would just be like, no, I think the teeth should be more yellow and the hair should be more blue. Be like, no, dude, this guy did his clown research. Like he was very aware of what the assignment was.
I deeply admire that. I deeply admire that and dedication to it. But yeah, I mean, and I'm glad I saw the clown appreciation, and I was glad to see it. I was glad to see people's eyes opened to the truth, to
The clown
honoring,
truth.
to becoming clown honoring people. And I will fight for clowns any day of my life. I have so much respect for them. I mean, also like one of my friends he was a clown, and when he told me that, I was like, I cannot believe you kept this information from me, because it made him like, I already thought we were friends, so of course I thought he was cool, but like it made his coolness meter skyrocket.
I love the
He was like,
idea
I
of like
didn't think
him.
that was going to
I love the idea of someone coming out of the clown closet to you and just being like,
the
oh,
clowns.
it's like a
Yeah.
weight's been lifted off of their shoulders.
Yeah, and I was like, and I don't think he understood that, like, and we have been going on about clowns for too long, but I don't think he understood that I was serious about it for a little while, until he saw that the appreciation was genuine. So yeah, I think clowns are very cool. I should take some clown classes. Did you know clowns are born? Like you have a clown birth?
I think I did know
Birth?
this because I had a
Yeah.
friend who unironically did do a full, like, course through clown college.
Yeah.
Because it is like a full thing. It's like there are dedicated schools out there to teach
Hmm.
you how to be like a for real clown. They don't joke around with it.
Yeah, it's real and clown, and your clown has to be born. That's part of it. It has to come into the
There's a
world.
lot of lore, like more lore than I would expect goes into being a
Yes.
clown.
Yes, and what I know more about clowning is like the traditional, this is where the theater school comes in, like the traditional Italian roots, Zani
Hmm.
and Commedia dell'arte. But it's it it's cool, and I really do. I think I love comedy as well, and I love it when people can make me laugh. Funny people are amazing. And I love to surround myself with them, and that's what clowns do. They just make you laugh. They make your day brighter. And you might think, oh, well, a clown wouldn't make me laugh. That's because you haven't met the right clown. That's because you haven't actually let yourself and opened yourself up to the world of letting somebody make you laugh. You generally. I'm not lecturing you specifically. This is a general you.
I respect
Um,
clowns. I don't want the world to think I'm on the wrong side of clown history. I've always
exactly.
appreciated my
Exactly.
bozo brethren.
Yeah. Yep. Exact. Thank you. Bozo Brethren. That's so good.
I'm sure someone has that tattooed on them somewhere.
Oh, they simply must.
So we're gonna wrap the clown thing up with one
Yes,
last
please do.
question because I was thinking about like, okay, you're clearly a clown connoisseur, so I got to ask you like, what are your thoughts on some mild entertainment related clowns, if you have any at all? Do you have any opinions, hot takes or cold takes? Just want to hear what they are. There's no wrong answers. How do you feel about Sweet Tooth?
Sweet Tooth.
He's the like twisted metal ice cream
Oh,
van.
yes, yes. Uh-huh. Neutral.
Okay. I will say, I surprisingly, not like Will Arnett does anything really, really bad. I weirdly went from not digging the idea of that show being a thing to, because like he's a two-person clown. The way it works is like
Yes.
Samoa Joe the wrestler acts his physical
Right, and
embodiment,
he's the
and then
voice,
yeah,
right?
Will does the voice, and I was like, there's gotta be a disconnect there. But the way that they did it is so weirdly perfect that I was like, wow, that's actually like pretty good because it's like
Yeah.
it's so easy for clowns, especially in
Yes.
like movies and shows, to be like, well, it's either funny or scary. There's no in between.
Yes, but they have found, and I do admire dancing that line. I think that is a good thing.
Speaking of hot clowns, number two, do you have any opinions on Kefka from Final Fantasy VI?
Yeah, hot.
Very,
Agreed.
very hot.
Pro. I'm down to clown. Like, yeah, yes, good, excellent example of a clown. Actually, I would say.
And final one, where do you land on where do you land on Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
Aha. Well, here's the thing: is the reputation, don't love it. The aesthetic, I deeply admire.
Okay, gotcha. I feel like honestly that's one of those IPs that's probably only relevant because of its aesthetic. I feel like the amount of
Yes,
people who've probably actually watched it is very little.
yes, but aesthetically fun. Again, we're when we're getting into the territory of the clowns are dangerous. I don't appreciate that narrative. But
Understandable. So, everyone, I'm glad if you've survived this long. Clown talk is over for now. I can't confirm it'll ever be back, but much like a real clown, you never really know until you go to Vegas and have to spend one night in Circus Circus and wonder, was this really the cheapest tickets I could get, and then just be there for the whole day.
yes, exactly.
But yeah, another a very unrelated question, but I feel like
Mhm.
I'd be curious to kind of pick your brain media wise. What have you either been watching, listening to? What have you been ingesting recently?
Oh wow. Okay. Like I said, Baldur's Gate 3 has been on the mind. I have
Peak
been
fiction right there.
Yeah, I've been obsessed with it. And like I said, I was really obsessed with Dragon Age Inquisition and actually just Dragon Age in general and any BioWare
God, I
game.
hope that new one's good. I hope that
Yeah,
new one's
I
good.
know. I would please, please be good. Please survive. Please come out. Um, but in Baldur's Gate 3 scratches that itch a lot. I was talking to my friend who was also very, very into just this genre. And we both agreed that like it felt like playing Dragon Age Origins kind of, but just updated for the modern age, and I love that. And I think, the again, you can see that the passion was put into the project. You can see that there's love in there. Um, and so much about that game is just extremely impressive. So I finished a playthrough. It took me like 120 hours, and then I immediately started another one. Um, so that is most of what I've been playing. Yeah, there hasn't really been anything else. Little, honestly, which I'm ashamed to admit, a little bit of Overwatch 2. I don't love the monetization model, but it's a clicky game, and it's like the one shooter that like I really know how to play. So I will do that. I'll play it with my brothers. Oh, I love Borderlands. I played through like the Borderlands series with my little brother, so that was recent. Hopefully that covers games. TV shows. I have been rewatching BoJack Horseman,
Oh, so there
which
you go.
is
Speaking of
so yeah, Will
speaking of
Arnett,
Will Arnett
right?
and depression, very on brand.
Yes. Yeah. And I love that show. Is there anything? I still need to watch The Bear season 2. I loved
Oh
season
my
1.
god, dude! Like, all jokes aside, that's a one episode, and I cannot binge The Bear.
Yeah,
That show is
yeah,
so heavy,
yeah.
especially as someone who's worked in food before. I'm like, oh my god, it's too real. They needed to tone it down because it's just like it's the more you've been in that, it's like that's a great show, but man, that show is heavy. That's like
Yes,
that's a ten
yes.
pound bag on you watching that show.
So that is next on my docket once I get through the joy that is BoJack Horseman, all of the zest and joie de vivre in that one, which there is some. It's a funny show. There are good. It is. I think it is more hopeful than not.
Oh no,
But
for
those
sure,
are
because
whammies going
it's
into each other.
it's one of those funny things of I think because the most downer moments come from the main character. That's probably why some people think about it. But like I just as often will think about the side characters who make
Yeah,
me laugh so much. Like I love Todd. I even love like
Todd's
even like the
amazing.
joke characters of like I love I forget was it Tim Adult Man. Like I love even just those like
Yes.
stupid little
Hmm.
moments like that. That show is good for like the levity and like the like serious
Yes.
parts.
And that's why it's a masterpiece. But once I'm through with BoJack Horseman, then I will go on to the Bear season 2. And then in terms of music, because I'm just gonna cover all the bases so everybody knows everything about me. I am really on an emo revival kick, so I've been listening to a lot of emo music.
Did you just come back from the When We Were Young tour? Is that why? What is that?
No,
What
I
happened?
wish. I wish I could have gone. No, it started last year actually. I went to see the My Chemical Romance concert when it was in LA, and then I actually saw 2 nights of it because the first night was affected me so much, and that is most of what I have listened to over the past year. And then it went away for a little bit, and it came back in full force this fall. And then, 'tis the season, I guess. It's kind of creepy,
Hmm.
fall Halloweeny music, at least aesthetically. Um, so I've been listening to that. And then I recently saw LS Dunes, which it's kind of tied to My Chemical Romance because Frank Iero is in both of those bands. And I saw them live, and they had an opener, Pink Shift, who I thought was really cool. So this is all like post-punk, post-hardcore stuff. So that's what I've been listening to. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, the only other ones I could think of. Have you seen any movies dragged you either into the theaters or streamwise at home?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I did see. I wasn't kidding about seeing the Five Nights at Freddy's. Like
I would.
I saw it last night.
Local adult lies about spending night with 12-year-olds. More questions after
Yes,
this.
that's fair. That is fair. That would have maybe not been the best look. So I did see that. I saw Bottoms recently, which I loved. I thought it was so funny, and I did enjoy the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I won't. It's so fresh that I don't want to. I won't say very much more than that because I assume a gamer or two will go and see it. But it's a good time
Hmm.
if you want a night out at the theater, and who doesn't? Um, and outside of that, I don't get to the movies as often as I'd like to. I would like to watch more. Oh, I also started watching X, the horror movie. Like it's like the
Oh,
trilogy with
nice. Pearl
Mia Goth.
and
Yes,
yeah.
and Maxine, which will be coming out at some point. Or maybe I don't know. SAG. I don't know if with SAG I'm allowed to talk about upcoming movies, but
There will
go
be, there
SAG.
will be
I
no
support
there will be
SAG.
no Wonka promotion on this podcast.
Yes,
Sorry, Warner
yes,
Brothers. Give me
yeah,
Dune
yeah,
first. Give me Dune 2 before I'm getting any Wonka out of me.
yeah, yeah.
But no, yeah, it is a weird time. Like even just as like a like SAG stuff or not, like it's a very weird time for movies because I feel like because of how all the studios pretty much were like, well, let's push everything we absolutely have to out of the theaters. It's been kind of like you kind of have to look for every excuse to watch anything new because no one
Yeah.
wants to put anything new out.
Yeah, yeah. And well, negotiations are still going on today, and I hope that the AMPTP recognizes and supports the actors' very reasonable asks. I have been on the picket line, and I will continue to go out, and support my fellow actors whenever I can. But I think everybody would be very happy if we are able to reach I should say, we are able to reach an equitable agreement that preserves, actors' careers.
No, 100%. Because like, especially through years of having other like actors on this like podcast and stuff like that, it's such almost like a no duh thing that I
Hmm.
that's why I've really appreciated like how much of this strike, especially compared to the last one a couple years ago,
Yeah.
has been so vocal and I feel like so much gas behind it. Is like you'll have these people come on these shows, whether they be big or small, and you'll see someone be like, "Oh, hey, I was in like let's just do like the My Hero Academia movie for something like a random big budget like anime movie that like yeah the voice acting cast for that like probably wasn't like that expensive of a production for it, but it is still you are a major participant in this multi-million-dollar movie. And when I know people who were in this $1 million earning movie and they're like I made $300 from that, I'm like that's
Yeah.
horrendous.
Yeah. Yeah. It is frankly ridiculous. And I mean, as an actor, though, most of what I do is not under this contract; it's under a different contract.
Hmm.
But as an actor, it's so easy to see that what we are asking for is beyond reasonable. Honestly, it shouldn't even be a question that this is what actors deserve, and these are the protections and compensation that actors deserve. And negotiations are also ongoing for the Interactives contract, which is the contract that I made, Tactica under. And we're asking for the same protections there too. And I am hoping that, game studios, developers, publishers, the people that we are engaging with, um, will also see that these are very reasonable, necessary asks to preserve the state of our careers and the state of our industry, and to keep making really good stuff that people love. That's why we're all in this business anyway.
No, for sure. And it's like another good example of like it's kind of hard to defend not counting this as like a real issue is like the other like crazy one is like when people sort of talk about like hey it's not like it's a now or later conversation. It's definitely a like with art, like with AI and stuff. Like that's
Yeah,
such a thing
yeah,
of being like,
it's
hey,
immediate.
yeah, it's not a oh in 20 years this will be a problem. It's like no, like if you're like even like honestly the crazy thing of just being like oh hey I've done one season of like a book or I've done something like here's 5 hours of me talking. My entire career as an actor is now not needed because someone can just make me say anything in
Yeah,
whatever way they want.
yeah. And I mean, I'm relatively new to this I mean, like I've been doing it for a while, but at least in terms of my visibility and the scale of the projects that I've been working on, I'm pretty new. And I've had friends who are much more established than me, have to deal with people making them say and do things that they wouldn't do. That it's an incredibly violating feeling. And it's not right. It's concerning. And like, you know, I wish people could understand that like it is, and I hope that they will see that it's just it puts actors in such a difficult and emotionally difficult as well, professionally and emotionally difficult position to have lost control over like something so deeply personal and so intrinsic to who they are.
No, for sure. And I mean, like, it is like, and I've even been very active on this show of like when we've talked about AI in the past, of like, it's not even like a, oh, I don't like it because it's like taking like X away from like other people and other things. Like, even just like for me as like a fan or just like when I'll see because a really prevalent one with like a lot of the Persona 5 stuff like you'll see like either shorts or YouTube videos or like TikToks of just
Yeah.
like oh hey here's the Phantom Thieves go to McDonald's and it's like
Right.
it's just really weird, not funny, and I'll just be wondering to myself, I'm like, when you see like how many views these get, you have to like take a step back and think like there are probably so many people who just think like, oh hey, this is a funny thing the voice actors did, instead of like no, it's just like some like
Yeah.
random
Yeah.
person just slapped some words on a keyboard and just was like, yeah, I'm gonna put this out there, whether it be them either making a funny video or having them say horrendous things, that is equally as easy to do one over the other.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you using your voice to speak out about that because I mean, it's an issue, and it will be, and I'm confident that it will be one that we get protections over and compensation for. But it is certainly an issue right now, and it is an issue that people who are much more established than me, who have a much larger body of work than I do, are particularly concerned about. I don't have too much. Nobody's heard enough of my voice to do anything.
Oh man,
But please don't do that. I'm like Barbara Streisand affecting myself right now. Don't do that.
Can we just have people just make really poorly photoshopped videos of just it's just Erina just talking about their love of clowns for 30 minutes?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you could just crop the whatever part of this podcast. I sound the same in the game. You can listen to the trailers. I'm gonna sound like this. Just crop that part of the sound. You don't even need to put it into an engine. I'm already saying it for you.
Oh my god. But no, yeah, it is one of those things like I will say I've never been more optimistic about I feel like it's going to be a good outcome. It's just beyond disappointing, but also I can't even act like I'm surprised at how long it's been drawn out.
Yeah, it unfortunately is a fight when it should have been a conversation. Um, but I am confident that actors will be protected and that people's rights to self-expression and their identity will be protected. And that actors will be compensated when our voices are used without us physically using them.
For sure. Well, man, if you thought Union and Clowns was the best part of this podcast, wait till you
Oh,
find out how we're
jeez.
going to end this, everybody.
Okay, let's go. Woohoo!
Man, you know, I mean, if my only light story I have for you is I have to ask,
Yeah.
how regularly are we talking about you dislocating your shoulder? Is this like a 5-time thing, three
No, like
times?
right, so I have I can dislocate a couple of my joints. I can do my hips and I can do my
Oh,
shoulders.
like
I
at
on
will, just any
command.
time?
On command. So when I say
Mm.
like can dislocate shoulder for fun, I think that's my description on Twitter or something. Like I just did it. I just did it for you right now. You couldn't see it and you couldn't hear it, so you're gonna just have to trust me on that one.
Live breaking. Yeah, hey, can you put the mic just in your bone for me real quick, so we get a
No,
good
I
pop
wish.
on
I
that
don't
one?
know. It does make a sound, but I don't think it's loud enough to capture, at least in
The
this setting.
most I can do that with, if it's like what I'm thinking it is, I can do that ironically with only one hand, my right hand's pinky I can dislocate out, and my right
Oh
shoulder.
yeah, like kind of pop it. Yeah.
No, it's not like
Oh,
it
it's like a real dislocation
yeah,
then.
it's like it looks like a
Oh.
baby Knuckles trying to escape from the bottom.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, my shoulders, my ligaments are just real loose. I'm in physical therapy for it actually. Trying. Yes, this is so. It's joking, but it's true. And I can and will dislocate my shoulder for you. I probably shouldn't, but if somebody listens to this and comes up and asks me at a convention or I have a Streamily, if you on live want me to pop it, I guess I can. You'll probably have to pay extra. I'm not going to do that for free, but I can do it on command. Yeah. So I just did it a couple times.
I am
5 in a day.
man, I don't know what I don't know what conventions you may or may not have in your future, but tomatoes and
I don't
popping
either.
joints out, you're gonna have many
I'm
questions.
creating a mess for myself. This is the first press that I've done, at least for this, where it's been an interview, and I have already just completely screwed myself
But then at
over.
least you'll know when the real ones come up, they're gonna be like, "Wow,
Yes,
this is a real like ride or
I
die
know.
fan."
I know. It's that's how I'll know. I'll know because they'll be telling me to hurt myself and they'll be throwing tomatoes at me. And maybe, I don't know, scaring me with a clown mask or something. I don't want to give you guys ideas.
Sign my clown mask.
I would do that.
See what we
Absolutely. I
need
gotta play a
now.
clown.
What we need now is we need like your Halloween is just you and a bunch of clown friends doing a ranking tier list of every clown ever.
Oh,
Just
that would be fun. I was maybe going to be a clown, but then I do some chainmail in my free time. I make chainmail, like
oh,
the
cool.
physical stuff, and I made armor for Ren Fair this summer, and it's only gotten one use, and I'm like, I should just be a knight with my cool chainmail armor that I made. So that's what I'm gonna do. But I was debating being a clown before that.
Have you decided like is like Halloween like a thing? Because like for me, I feel like as I get older, I always feel really bad about. I keep telling myself, okay, this is the year. You're gonna do it. You're gonna find a way and an excuse to do something on Halloween, and then every year I just find new ways to disappoint myself. Whereas like I want
No.
to do it because like my big one that like I'm always like kicking myself for is like I can't believe I've not gotten to do a like couples clown. Oh God, that's not that.
No,
That will
this
not be
happens right
happening.
now. I'm going to be checking in on you like every single day to make sure. I'm going to
This
be
is
harassing you to do it.
This is the year, folks. The couples clown 2025. But we're like we think about like those like cringy but still fun like couples like Halloween dress up ideas. We're like, I'll think of it and they'll be like, all right, that's a great idea. You've got 6 months, you can do it. And then I'll just keep saying that every month
Yeah,
until it's October, and I go, what am I doing with my
yeah,
life?
yeah, yeah. That's how it goes. Um, but I love Halloween, and so I'm trying to. There was a period where I didn't do Halloween costumes. Also, like I got curly hair, and I was very into Harry Potter before I stopped liking J.K. Rowling. And I was Hermione a lot, so many times. I think like 7 times for Halloween. So I had a go-to. Um, and since then, I've been branching out, and I try to do a different one every year. So it's good. I advocate everybody wear a fun costume, even if you're just home. Put on something silly. Paint yourself to be a clown.
I
It's
just
very easy to do. You can do it with any makeup.
That is true, and it's not like anyone's gonna be like, "Wow, man, that's some real heavy clown makeup you put on today." Like, there's no like level of going too far.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm excited now for my perpetual nightmare fuel clown couple cosplay in T
Yeah, you
minus.
have to do it. You have to.
I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna ask my wife the first thing. I'm gonna be like, "Honey,"
Your poor
I'm gonna be like,
wife.
"What? How would you feel about doing a clown cosplay?" And then she'd probably ask, "Can I be Harley Quinn?" I'd say, "No, that's too basic. You'd have to be someone else." And then she'd get upset, and then it would never happen.
If you actually do it, I give her permission to be Harley Quinn from the Clown King.
All
I would give that
I would tell her this.
permission.
I would only allow a Harley Quinn cosplay if we both dressed up as Harley Quinn,
Harley Quinn, that's funny.
but I would have to be the very unattractive first Suicide Squad Harley Quinn, so it's just my very out of shape body wearing the daddy's little monster shirt, making no one ever want to wear it ever again.
I think that's great. Yeah, no, I think it would look wonderful.
This is sorry Tumblr. You didn't know this. You didn't know you wanted this until you've seen it. But it's the most 30-year-old body you've ever seen wearing Harley Quinn's outfit.
Yeah, yeah. I'm pro. Stamp of approval
Thank you.
given.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But yeah, I cannot believe like I joked about at the beginning of this. I should never A out my wife or B joke about it not. See, clown discussion and more can just lead to this becoming like 3-hour shows. Like I remember I had I forget who it was, but I had someone on and they were like, well, how long do your shows normally go? And I'm like, well, a good example is I think our shortest show is probably 30 to 45 minutes, and I think our longest episode was maybe like 8.5 hours.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
it's just like it's one of those things
Yeah.
where it's like, listen,
You
so,
contain multitudes.
yeah, it's like I appreciate everyone who listens to this because they all the real fans of this show know, hey, you don't come here for the latest hottest breaking Atlas and Persona news. You'll get your random merch figure announcement on Twitter and all that other stuff. You're really here for the 5 minutes of Atlas talk and then 58 minutes of everything else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope I hope we got enough Alice talking to balance
I feel like in
the scales
my
here.
little invisible meter next to me says there's at least 5 GameStop coaster pre-orders secured from this. So I think if we've at least
Good.
spread the
I've
good
done my job.
words for me, yeah, for the fact that also neither of us will be getting paid or sponsored through any part of this, I'll
Nope.
feel better. I'll feel better about that.
Please play Tactica. That would make me an actor from the game so 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 happy. I hope that didn't sound sarcastic. That was serious. It would make
I
me very
didn't.
happy.
I didn't at all. But I would love the idea of someone getting brought on for an interview and it's just being really pessimistic about it. And just be like, I don't know if they hate the game or not. It's really hard to read them.
Yeah, like an Aubrey Plaza comes on. We gotta get her in one of the games.
Oh man, yeah. I can't wait for Audrey Plaza to not promote the new Scott Pilgrim anime. She's gonna do such a great job. Be like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I love coming back to stuff I did 10 years ago for 30 minutes. It's really fun. I love doing this. Thank you. But no, I cannot agree more. In fact, like my biggest thing about Tactica that I've been like beating this drum for, even though I'm sure it will not happen, has been I'm dying for them to just release a demo so people can play this because
I want to play it.
I was gonna say I bet because like I was really hoping they were gonna have demos at AX when this got announced, and then the thing that sucked was every show they've done after Anime Expo they had a demo for it.
Yeah,
And it's been like, I
yeah.
really, really want to get my hands on this game, and I want other people to as well, because I think that's the best way to kind of get the word out for this, especially when it's not like a traditional sequel or like follow up to Persona 5.
Yeah, it's its own thing. Yeah.
And another big one is like people don't always like the amount of like, a good example even is like a CRPG like Baldur's Gate or whatever. Like the amount of
Mhm.
people I've seen who are like into the idea of it, but until they get their hands on it or like really get to play like these kind of like top-down strategy games or tactical RPGs
Yeah.
can be kind of intimidating to people who haven't played them because they have a reputation of being maybe overly hard or overly
Yeah. Yeah.
complicated. And I think everything they've shown of it looks really good in terms of appeasing to both camps, but it's that thing of just be like, just let don't make me have to just go over to everyone's house and be like, play this for 5 minutes on my Switch and then go buy a copy, please.
Just see, you're gonna love it. Yeah, I mean that's the thing about games, right? Is the gameplay, the play of it is very important to people's experiences. So I totally understand that point of view. Personally, I would love to play the game. I will be playing it when it comes
Oh my
out,
god!
as will
Who?
everyone who listens to this
I
podcast.
just realized something really weird. What are you gonna do? Because this will be your first physical game you've been in. What are you gonna do when someone brings you a cover to sign?
Cry, probably.
It's just be
I,
like, I'm sorry. Can you like, get me another copy of the game? You've just water damaged the entire thing. I can't even sign it now.
yeah, I mean, I cried at the Requiem event because they had little stand-ups of her. And I'm a baby, and I will. Yeah, that is again when I said before I don't have the vocabulary. I'm not smart enough. I didn't study my SAT words enough to be able to describe how cool it is. So yeah, I will likely cry and ruin. You're gonna have to bring two, like you said. That's what's gonna have to happen.
I am
Then you have a tear covered copy of Persona 5 Tactica, and who doesn't want that?
I better not see that on eBay. I'm just saying right now, if I see World's First, you know it's the first edition, the sign, because it's covered more in tears than the rest. The other ones have light
Yeah.
tears.
Yeah.
Last question for you.
Okay.
Where are you going to be playing Tactica? You've got 9 million
I
ways to play this game.
know. I know. I did. So my GameStop pre-order is Switch. I am a PlayStation person though, and I have not decided because my mom pre-ordered it too. And she got
Thanks,
she got
Mom!
it. Yeah, she got it on the PlayStation 5. So it's gonna be one of those. I played Persona 5 on the PlayStation, and I played Strikers on the PlayStation, and I played Royal on the Switch. So I I I guess if I play it on the Switch, it's gonna even out. I also then have to take on the challenge of like listening to my own voice, and that is a big boulder to push up a hill.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I
Um,
didn't even think of this. Have you,
I don't want to hear
no,
it.
I was gonna ask, have you actually, though, out of morbid curiosity, what are your thoughts on, I forget the name of the actress's name, but have you listened to Erina's Japanese voice at all? Because it is
Yeah,
different, it is
yes,
a very different take on the character.
yes, and she is so cool. She's cooler than I am. Um, and so yeah, I mean, and here's the thing: is like I want to hear my castmates' performances. Not so sure I want to hear my own. So we're gonna have to, and I would have played. I mean, I would have played the game if I wasn't in it. I double have to play it from being in it. So it is a challenge, and I don't know
I think,
how I will
honestly,
deal with
the
it.
way the game works, ironically, I think once you do the opening tutorial with her, you don't ever have to have her in your party. So technically,
I'm just gonna play it
you
without
could
her.
just you could play the opening in Japanese and then just play the rest of the game and never have her in your party ever again.
I'm just gonna play without my character. She's just not. Bye bye. Everybody else is gonna play with her though, but not me, because I'm special.
It would be, I mean, that's got to be like the one of the like weirdest kind of surreal things that like you can't really explain to someone of just being like it's like listening to a recording of yourself, but you're
Yeah,
constantly
it's
playing the buttons.
uncomfortable. And maybe some people are great at it. I think more people are not comfortable with it. I mean, I don't like watching videos of myself either. It's it's disconcerting, I think, to see yourself outside of yourself.
Well, yeah, it's
Uh,
especially because it's that version that most people don't know what they really sound like when they're talking
yeah,
or presenting themselves.
yeah.
Like my perfect example I always tell people about this is I remember the first time I was doing a solo in choir really really young, and I was doing a song that I've sung like a million times, but I was singing it for the first time ever in a microphone in a crowded area where there were large amounts of microphones that I could very clearly hear. And as soon as I said the first sound, I stopped and I was like, "Oh my god, do I sound like?" It's like you
Yeah.
immediately just get so self-conscious. But like the funny thing is, and I'm sure you have a lot of like through me editing every podcast I've ever done the last 10 plus
I'm
years,
sure.
I now only hear what I sound like. So I just know what I always sound like in terms of how bad it is. So like it's the funny thing of like I don't even know what I used to think I sound like. I just like no, I just hear the real normal weird voice that I project every day because it's that thing of
I think you have a nice voice.
I appreciate it. But like it is that funny thing of like because I've listened to it for so many hours editing my own voice,
Yeah.
my brain now at this point doesn't even like trick me into it because it's like yeah, you hear what you're like in all of these different settings.
That's good. Maybe if I get a few more years, I'll be less weird about it. Um, but yeah, it is a weird thing. And like that's one of the nice things about theater is you don't have to watch yourself back at any point. You don't have it's done. It's ephemeral, right? And I do love that about theater. I could also go on about the connection between theater and games. I will not. I will not. That's for another
It's
podcast.
podcast number yeah, we're gonna bring you back on for the Tactica spoiler cast
I don't
where
think I
we will not actually spoil the game. We'll just talk about our thoughts on comparing the medium of theater to other mediums.
Yes, to games. And where was I going with that? Oh yeah, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to look back at yourself. I don't know. It's probably maybe I should get used to it. Maybe I should always have myself in the party so that I can desensitize myself to myself.
You're gonna eventually just get to a point where like you'll then never be able to recreate that voice. So it'll just be like here was my normal voice I used for this one character, and then every other game it was like yo what's up guys.
Every other game is wildly different. I'm never gonna sound like this again. I'm gonna sound like a completely different
Be
person.
like wow it's really weird like all your characters after this just sound like David Lynch characters. What happened?
Yeah. Yeah. bright future ahead of me, huh?
I'm very I mean, at the very least, whether we get you on the theater spoiler cast or not, the Tactica theater spoiler cast, I at least have to go get you on the show sometime after February, where I need to just think of some reason to get you and Justice on the show at the same time, because I forgot, like, when you guys had mentioned that you guys were actually.
Ugh. Yeah, he's great.
And at the very least, we'll just be us saying we'll talk about voice acting, but we'll actually just be like, let's just talk about food for 3 hours. We haven't even talked about food. We talked about drinks more than anything this whole episode.
Yes, and I love a liquid, so that checks. But yeah, whenever you have Justice on, I will crash, and we will. I'm sure if this was, I mean, I don't know how this compares to the regular mayhem of your podcast, but it'll be worse with the two of us together.
Perfect. Perfect. I'm very excited. But yeah, so as we're kind of wrapping up, where can people find you online? Where do you want them to find you? Where are your Tumblrs you don't want people to find? All the fun stuff like that.
You would never find it because it doesn't exist anymore. But you can find me. It's my first name and my last name. I'm good. So Leeanna Albanese on Instagram and Twitter. So feel free to head over there and check me out. If you look me up on the internet, you'll probably find everything else. Like I said, I'm not a super social media person when it comes to talking about stuff. So no TikTok or anything like that. But say hi.
I'm just imagining you. I'm just imagining you
clowns.
doing Fortnite dances and like, here's my voice actor reel as I'm doing Fortnite emotes.
That's kind of a great idea, and I could get like one of those running subway runner games up on the side next to it. This is like good marketing. These are some really good ideas
I
here.
want you to know that like I'm so bad at marketing that like it's become a running joke now that like when people like when we'll do live episodes, people will make fun of the fact that I don't plug the show at the end of it or beginning. So like as if I just pitch it like a one-off, and I've had people just be like, promote the show better. Be like, listen, I can either be good at the show or good at promoting, and I chose the wrong one.
Yeah. Well, you gave me some very good promotional advice, and I hope everybody will be watching my feed of just my voiceover demo with me Fortnite dancing in the background next to a subway runner.
Oh yeah, dude. Subway Surfer, Temple Run. It's
you need to find a niche. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be unstoppable. All the other voice actors will be like, why didn't we think of this?
Yeah, you gotta break a couple eggs to make an omelet. Not sure how that adage applies in this scenario.
The eggs are the Fortnite dance for sure. That's like it's just you.
Yeah, you're breaking it down, right? You gotta break the eggs.
You flossing in front of your roommates and their pets and just wondering where did life go wrong, and you think back to that one Tumblr post you made really late at night where you're like, why did I name my Tumblr Harry Clown Lover? It was for my love of Harry.
Oh, they're gonna find
It was supposed to be because of my love of Harry Potter and clowns, but people thought it was just due to the hairiness of these clowns, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct.
Well, everybody, if you've listened to the last 2 hours of this and went, how can I get more of this weekly? I've got great news for you. If you're listening to this for the first time, you can go to the weird wide web and find us on many places. We're on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. You can just look up Shin Megami Tensei Network. Along with that, though, you can find the Discord, Facebook group, Twitter, and X, all the fun stuff like that. All the links below wherever you're watching or listening to this. The best way to support us, though, if you like stuff like this and want to get shows like this earliest or earlier as possible, you can go to patreon.com/SMTN, go support the show there, and also just look at that weird Patreon logo. Like, what is it? Is it a bean? Did they just want to make like a weird like square with like a corner cut out? Like what's happening over there? Have you seen the Patreon logo? It really confuses me.
Oh yeah, the new one?
Every time I look at it, it hurts my brain. But you know what? We're talking about it, so that means that they're doing. That means that it's working for them at least. That's the problem.
I guess.
But yeah, so all the fun stuff there. I will not be keeping you any longer, though, Lee. I've been holding you hostage long enough. So
No, thank you.
thank
This was a blast.
thank you for coming on. I am excited for all the now weird inside jokes we have started that at least a dozen of us will be talking about.
Yep.
But yeah, so goodbye, everybody. Thank you for listening. We will see you hopefully next week with more shilling of Atlas products that we are not paid for, but just because we love talking about them. So I will see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.